Okay, well your mic's working.
Yeah, that's always good, right? That helps.
Okay.
I hear the audience likes it when the microphone works.
I've heard rumors. All right, well, I think I'm ready. Let me get this over here. I'm ready to rock, man.
All right, I'm going to count us down, and we're going to go in three, two, one, now.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Off the Cut episode 21.
Whew,
We're now legally old enough to drink in the
the
United
US of
States.
A. And you might want to fact check me on this, but I think everywhere in the world, I think the USA has like the oldest drinking
I
age.
don't know. Okay, we gotta look this up.
It's immediately off
Legal
the rails.
drinking drinking age around the world. Okay. Minimum legal drinking age in other countries. There are some countries, there are 19 countries
Hmm.
that have 0
Oh,
legal drinking age requirements.
very civilized, very civilized. Your
Um,
5-year-old walks the store, gets a six pack.
right on. 2 countries that you have to be 10 to 15.
Oh, cool.
20 countries that you have to be 16 to 17.
Hmm.
116 countries that you have to be 18 to 19. 5 countries that you have to be 20. And I'm sorry, 12 countries that you have to be 21.
Okay.
And then there are 16 countries where it is illegal at any age to drink
Yeah.
alcohol. I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Yeah, I once had a stopover in Abu Dhabi, and
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I was probably like, yeah, I don't know, 25, 26 at the time, and I was with a buddy of mine, and we're like, let's go get drinks because we have like this like 12-hour stopover in Abu Dhabi,
Yeah.
and it's a
That's
dry
nuts.
it's a dry country, but we did manage to find a bar in a Howard Johnson hotel in downtown Abu Dhabi because apparently there's weird carve outs for like international hotels. And let me tell you, that was the sketchiest bar that I have ever been to, despite the fact that it was in like the basement of a Howard Johnson.
Dude, whenever I think of a Howard Johnson, I'm thinking of like,
The Hojo.
you know, how do I say this politely? The bottom of the barrel hotel
Yeah.
that is probably also there's a lot of illegal activity transpiring in these places.
Oh, well, believe me, that same thing holds true in Abu Dhabi because there was definitely like my friend and I were just sitting there watching the room and we're like, half the people in here prostitutes and then Johns, and they're just like,
Yep.
yeah. And
Uh,
yeah, it was awkward. We were there for probably like 3-4 hours killing this layover, and then we just got out of there. It was so weird.
you know what my favorite snack is on a layover?
Mm.
The food of the day.
Ooh, what do we got?
So I gotta get this in.
No, I know.
This is episode 21, respectfully dedicated to the food of the day, graham crackers.
Nice,
But I know
nice.
up in Canada, today's better known as Tuesday, July 5th. Yeah, that's the right date. Tuesday, July 5th, 2022.
Dude, what do you think of a
Um,
graham cracker? What it the
so I need to apologize.
Uh-oh.
Before we had talked in the past about how I am not a big dessert guy.
Oh, carve out
Well,
for graham crackers?
this weekend I went to my buddy's lake house and they're completely renovating it. And so like it's to the studs. There was no running water. They basically just have a roof and framing. Is it? No drywall, nothing.
Okay.
So we camped out. And naturally, if you're camping out, like we were in tents and stuff, gotta have a fire pit.
I see
And
where
when
this
you
is going.
and when you got a fire pit, you gotta have s'mores.
S'mores, yeah.
And I completely forgot the fact that, dude, I love s'mores.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
They're delicious.
Yeah. So, my beef with the graham cracker, a little on the dry side for me, but
Oh yeah.
it's the perfect companion for, like, so many other things. And sometimes people do, like, crumbles where you, like, crumble up some graham crackers and put it into, like, some other dish. Love it. It's great.
Like
I
graham cracker crust on a pie.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, it's so good. I love that kinda like
Oh,
the honey taste to them. I used to be so hard up for sweets as a kid though, because my parents were like very much like, oh, we don't have like sugar and no refined sugar in this house. We're healthy
Uh-huh.
eaters. Um, Probably largely responsible for the or part of the reason why I am such a bad eater now is it's like my weird form of like teenage rebellion that is extended into my 30s.
Screw you, mom.
Yeah,
I can eat whatever I want
I
now.
just get eat bowlfuls of white sugar and there's nothing you can do to stop me. Anyways, but my mom would occasionally have graham crackers. Oh man, what is it? Graham cracker? I was just short.
Graham
I always just
cracker.
shortened it down to graham cracker. I don't know.
Graham
Anyways,
cracker. Is it graham cracker or graham crackers?
good question.
I
Anyways,
okay. Let's not get off on that tangent.
my mom would have them in the house for baking, like, things that she was baking. So I would
Hmm.
always just sneak them and just eat them plain, which was hard. But when you're a kid who's like really hard up for sweets, it'll get you by. It'll get you by.
Have you ever had the pleasurable experience of cinnamon graham crackers?
No, I have not.
Dude, all right. Next time you go to the store, pick yourself up a box.
I'm down with
It's
this.
graham crackers, and they almost have this like cinnamon sugar,
Mhm.
kind of like what's the cereal? The
Uh,
cinnamon
s-
toast crunch.
yes, yeah.
It's a graham cracker with like cinnamon toast crunch dusting on them.
Oh, that sounds delicious. I'm
You
all
can eat
about
them
that.
dry.
Okay, okay.
They're great.
The cinnamon provides a little bit of moisture somehow.
Something like that.
Okay,
Well, I don't
okay.
know if it provides moisture, but it's delicious.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm down with that. I'm incredibly down with that.
But who makes them? Who's the I think Honey Maid appears to have a monopoly on the graham cracker game.
Oh, interesting. I wonder if that's a brand name like Q-Tip or something like that. Like maybe we should be calling them Saltine Cookie or something like that.
No, so graham crackers seems like it's the generic one, but Honey
Oh,
Maid is the brand, but it's made by Nabisco.
okay, okay,
So you
okay.
should have that up there. You got
RJ
Nabisco.
RJ Nabisco. I read this book, Barbarians at the Gate, that was all about aggressive takeovers, or what is it's a hostile takeover
Mm.
in the like 1980s. They were big, and I think RJ Nabisco was like a cigarette company merged with a cookie company, and it just seems
It's interesting to see what a lot of those like conglomerates own. Like if you look at like the
oh
weird tree, it's like
yeah.
graham crackers and cigarettes. It's like how does that combine? I mean,
have you
both
seen
are good. Both are addicting, right?
Have you seen the one for like toiletries? It's like there's like really just two toiletry
It's like
companies, and they own
Procter and
everything.
Gamble,
Procter and Gamble, and I think Johnson and
mm,
Johnson.
or Unilever, or
Oh,
some. I don't know.
yeah, you might be right.
Well,
Unilever.
that might be under one of them.
Exactly. It's really there's a big web, but at the end of the day, it's just two different companies with a million different sub brands to like create products to get to all the different target markets. It's really interesting.
Yeah,
And same thing in groceries and whatever. And tool companies, evidently.
I remember one of the biggest wastes of. Well, I've done a lot of stupid things in my life that's wasted time, but the one that came up as soon as we're talking about like Procter and Gamble and stuff. When I was in college, so like my last year, they had this like career fair thing, right?
Okay.
And you could basically, and as soon as I start talking about this, you're gonna be like, "Yeah, that's what a waste of time. Why'd you do this?" But at the time, it seemed like a great idea. You could basically like wait in line and then have like mini interviews with companies. And
Oh.
so I was like, "Oh, Procter and Gamble. That seems like a good one I would be interested in working with."
Hmm.
There had to have been 2 to 300 people in this line.
Oh.
And I thought it was a good use of my time to literally spend that like entire career fair thing just waiting in that
What?
line. And then when I got to the front, I realized that it basically was like, "What's your name? What's your major? What are you looking to do?" And then they're like, "Great.
Next.
Next." And I had to have spent 2 hours in that line, man.
That's funny. I mean, when you're a kid, you don't know any better, right?
No.
I don't know. I went to one of those career fairs, or no, I never went to career fair. I went to university fair, but I never did a career fair. I think I always went to schools that were a little too small to actually host them. Was it at your school?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And
How big was your high school? I have this image in my head
oh,
that
high school. Okay.
American high schools were much bigger than Canadian high schools.
Mine, I would say, is probably in the median to high range for a high school. Our graduating class was right around 500, so we had about
Okay.
2,000 people.
Okay. So
But
for
I'd say like 2 to 300 is pretty normal.
okay. So for context, my entire high school was 500 kids.
Yeah, that's like how Miranda's was,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
you knew everyone.
Yeah, it's there's very few people I couldn't like pick out of a lineup from my high school these days. So
Yeah.
yeah, you
But
know
see, I had
everyone.
the thing where like we went to the graduation and like they'd be like, I don't know, like Paul Smith, and you're like, I thought that kid was a freshman. Like, you have, like, stuff like that,
Yeah,
or, like,
yeah.
I literally have never seen this person in my life. There's no way that person goes to my school.
Well, I guess when you're at a school with 2,000 kids, a couple can sneak under the radar and not get noticed for the whole year.
Yeah, that's very true. But a lot of ours, like, we had so many different things, like, you could do, like, the your typical kind of, like, college prep stuff, or you could do, like we had this, like, career center thing where, like, say you're like, "I wanna be a firefighter." You could basically, like, do your firefighter certification stuff in lieu of, like, most of your classes,
Oh,
so you were
those
never
are cool.
actually at the high school.
Right, right,
Did
right.
stuff like that, but
How many grades did you have? Did you go up to do you have 12th
12.
grade? 12,
Yeah,
okay. In
12.
Canada, we had a 13th grade for a while, and then it went away right as I was entering high school. So there were still some kids in 13th grade or grade 13 um as I was in grade 9, and then they just kind of rolled off and then they didn't renew it. But part of the thing was that you could do in your grade 13, you could do like your first year of your first university credits while you're still on
Get, like,
high
some
school.
discount?
Yeah, you could like do a bunch of them like ahead of time, and
No, that's
then
cool.
yeah, and you could get co-op placements and businesses and stuff like that. So it was kind of a good use of time, and I'm not really sure why they got rid of it, but hey, they did.
That was one thing that kinda drove me nuts is I really wish when I was in school that there would have been a little bit more emphasis on, like, career exploration.
Yeah, yeah, they just want to silo you into something like, hey, you're pretty good at numbers. Now you're an accountant for the rest of your life.
And you're
Good
like,
luck.
"No.
I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
I would not wanna do that."
does that make me happy? It's like that's not part of the equation. Get into off to accounting school with you.
Hey, you know what does make me happy?
What's that?
Corey Duvall
Mm-hmm.
and Scott Eastman at Eastie's Woodshop
Aren't
are
you
returning
talk to your
top-tier patrons.
patrons? I'm
They
trying to
always
finish
make
your
me happy.
sentences, but it's not working out very well.
Well, there's, like, this slight delay.
I know.
So if people don't know, we're obviously not in the same room.
Hmm.
You're in Canada, I'm in Ohio.
Hmm.
And so there's like this teeny tiny delay that I think we've gotten pretty good at like knowing when you're going to finish a sentence and not just completely cut each other off.
Yeah, definitely. But it's still not quite perfect. You don't get all those same social cues that we would get if we were like in the same room with one another.
No. And it's tough, especially if when we bring on guests, which we haven't had a guest in a while.
Yeah, we should do that soon. I got some ideas. I think it's kind of on me because I've pitched you on a bunch of guests, and you're like, yeah, they all sound great. Invite them, and I was like, okay, I'll get right to that, and then promptly forgot.
Yeah,
So
well, the ball is in your court because I got the last one.
that's very true. You did. You did. So
I got
okay.
Jay.
Okay.
So, I mean, you let me know, man.
Hmm.
We'll get people on here.
Hmm.
We'll get people on here. But if you want us to shout out your name, probably mispronounce it because we're very good at that,
We are.
and get access to the after show where we basically get an entire another podcast. Go down in the little description thingy. Go to patreon.com/off the cut podcast and support the show.
Yes, yes. Oh, and actually, you know what? Hey, anybody listening, if you have any suggestions for guests, send them an email, DM us on Instagram, leave a YouTube comment. Just shout them out some way, and we'll see what we can do if we can get them on board.
You know what else helps? Podcast reviews,
Oh, yeah,
allegedly.
yeah, yeah.
Which, speaking of, dude, you're gonna think this has to be a joke. Somebody trolling us. Somebody left. This is a legitimate podcast review. So if
Okay.
you got something funny that you want us to read, podcast reviews are where to do it because it helps us out. We only read it if it's 5-star though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is from well, the title is I don't know if I can get through this without laughing. This the title of this review is "This has helped me in my time of need." So I was thinking like, okay, maybe this guy's just getting started building and we
Mhm.
helped him. And it's Doug underscore Williamson 12.
Okay.
This is Saturday. So somebody's wasting their weekend listening to us. But Doug says, I recently ate too many gummy worms and had extreme intestinal distress.
Been there
Luckily, the
before.
soft, warm, soothing voices of these two handsome men help. It says it's grammatical error. Help guide me through my challenges on the toilet. If you two need an audible guide through a challenging moment in your life, this is the podcast to listen to. You will not be disappointed. Just bring plenty of toilet paper in case things get messy.
That's great advice.
And if you think I'm kidding, that's like the iTunes. Oh, you can't see it.
I can see it.
iTunes page, and it's dude. It is on there. It
Hey,
is legitimately on our iTunes like podcast thing.
do we have a perfect 5-star rating right now?
Yeah, we do.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
7 ratings. We're 5 out of 5, baby.
Nice. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. What was the name on that one again?
Doug Williamson.
Okay, Doug. Well, I'm glad we could help you through that horrible time you were having. I mean, believe me, I've been there before. Those gummy worms are hard to put down, but they do not sit in your stomach well.
Oh, dude, I
And
love a good bag of gummy worms.
speaking of, he called us handsome gentlemen. I noticed that you're looking a little bit more handsome today. You got the haircut, the
Oh
beard's cut
man.
off.
So for 4th of July, we get together. We always go to my buddy's lake house every like 4th of July weekend. And this year, I think it might have been my idea. Just as a joke, I was like, we should do a mustache contest, right? And so everybody's like, yeah, that's a great idea. So none of us had talked design or style beforehand.
Hmm.
I basically did, and I'm gonna have this is an audio platform, so I'm gonna have to describe it to people. I took from the sideburns all the way down to basically connect it to a handlebar mustache,
Okay.
and then over the top, and then sideburns all the way back.
Nice.
It was disgusting. It looked so bad, and everybody else just did like a nice standard mustache.
Dash.
But I had done it Thursday evening,
Hmm.
and then Friday morning I got up and did a little bit of work, played, 9 holes golfing, and then I was like, "All right, time to go to the lake." Well, I hadn't looked in a mirror since Friday morning, right?
Yeah.
So in my internal perception of how I look is I just look normal, right?
Hmm.
When I went to go play golf and I paid for at the pro shop, they didn't really say anything. They didn't really give me a weird look or whatever. So I played golf. And then when I was almost to the lake, I called my buddy's mom and I was like, "Hey, can I pick up any food? Is there anything, you need or whatever?" And she's like, "Yeah, I just pick up a couple things." Um, so I went through this like little drive-through carry-out thing. And the guy he's talking to me as he's coming up to my car window and then like looks in the window and then like goes, "Whoa!" Like is like taken aback. And I completely forgot that I had this ridiculous mustache. But as soon as
That's
I got
awesome.
home, I was like, I gotta get rid of this thing. But this is the first time I've shaved my face and like all the way down in probably
Mm-hmm.
5 years.
Oh, dude, I never do it. I just take like like a pair of clippers.
Like a one guard or something.
Exactly. It's just set it to 0 and then just
Yeah.
run it over my face. Cause I get crazy like neck burn and stuff like that. And I also just don't like the way I look clean shaven. So I never do it.
For me, it makes me look a lot younger, doesn't it?
Yeah, it definitely does. It
Yeah.
definitely does.
Which I guess I got that card in the books
Yeah.
just in case I get too old.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of card in the books, I got carded at the liquor store the other day. I was like, "Whoa, you just made my day, sir."
Hey, be like, "Hey, young man," and you're like, "Oh, stop it.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop it."
You're kidding, right? You want me to see my idea? Okay, here you go.
Oh, okay. So sorry, I didn't interrupt you. The
No, no.
patrons or people listening to our live stream right now, which by the way, we do live stream every episode on YouTube. So if you
Hmm.
want to check out the podcast before it comes out, they said they want to see the picture of the mustache.
Oh, do you have such a
Okay,
thing?
I do.
I
Okay.
didn't even think
I'm
to
gonna leave
ask for
myself
that.
a note. Post photo of mustache on Patreon. All right,
Oh,
you guys, you asked for it. You got it. It's going up on Patreon.
and anybody else listening, that's another member benefit you get. You get to see Eric with weird facial hair if you decide to become a patron.
And I don't every time we talk about things like we had the discussion about plans. I threw
Hmm.
up a free set of plans on
Yep.
there. When we had the discussion about the ghost photos, I threw the
Yes.
ghost photos up
Yes.
there. So
Yeah.
on Patreon, you can get some hot stuff.
Mm-hmm. 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 I need to start thinking about some bonus content I can throw up on Patreon.
Oh, those OnlyFans photos, maybe.
But I mean, you have to sign up for my OnlyFans to get those.
Oh, oh,
You gotta silo your different content, Eric.
that's true. That's true. That's true. Well, we need to get that P trap power cock
Oh yeah,
shirt going on.
yes, that's true.
Can you imagine if you wore that to the? We would have to get like some sort of like plumbing
Yes, it would have to be
photo
a
on there.
picture of like a P trap on your shirt too.
P trap power cock.
Yeah. Maybe it could be like one of those like like varsity t-shirts where
Hmm.
it's just like like cuz most people don't actually read those. You just kind of see a varsity shirt on somebody like, "Oh yeah, it's a varsity shirt." You don't see,
Yeah.
like you're not like, I don't know, Rolling Hills High School or something like that. You don't
No.
actually read it. So that would be a great like P-trap power cock across the bottom since, 1985 or whatever.
God, we can come up with these ridiculous shirts name. So here's the thing about making these like custom funny shirts and stuff, right?
Mhm.
You need to have some sort of like designer or somebody kind of like like make up these designs. And people always say, "Oh yeah, I'll buy that shirt or whatever." And then you go to launch them, and like no one buys them.
Yeah, I would
Like, do you know
love.
how many shirts I've sold? Like maybe 10.
Yeah, I used to do it, but I got out of it. It was just too labor intensive, and
Yeah.
the return's not there.
No.
Um, yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I'd love to talk to some people who go a little bit like John from Lincoln Street Woodworks. He does like they're like funny, like Star Wars themed ones, right? So I'd love to.
Yeah, dude, I've got one of his and they're hilarious. Every time I wear it, people love it.
Nice. I would love to get some info from him on how much those sell because my T-shirt was just like my logo with my name on it, which I understand that not a lot of people would necessarily want to wear.
I actually talked to him about it, because we'll message back and forth, and just like you and I, like we're very open about numbers. Like
Hmm.
I don't view you as my competition. Like we're all in this together, right?
Yeah, definitely.
He said that, and this is before he did sponsors on his videos. He said that he had released a couple shirts, and basically during his video, he was like, "Hey, I'm not doing a sponsor on this video. I'm not getting paid anything to do it. But if you want to support me, I do have shirts available." And he
Mm,
said he got like 12 or 1500 bucks out of the shirts
that's pretty
for that.
good.
But he said it was like a massive peak and then massive valley, right? It was
Right.
basically it was a one-off. It's not a continuous stream.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, with the way YouTube videos go, who knows? You might have your video get picked up again in the algorithm and then get another one of those bumps,
Sure,
right? So yeah,
sure.
yeah.
So we had gotten this question from one of our patrons, and
Yes.
patrons get access to ask their questions first. Everybody else, you go on the list, but we just don't know when we're gonna get to you. Patrons get access first. And Jason Grissom asked a great question
Yeah, this is a good one
that
that I wanted to talk about last week. So
yeah,
I'm excited to
we
hear
were
it now.
gonna like do that like just quick, dirty, be like, yes, no, okay, move to the next question, but we owe them a good response. And I think this one will be hot.
Mm-hmm.
So, Zach, I gotta ask you,
Hmm.
are dovetails utilitarian? Or are they just for show?
I think uh, these days, I
Hmm.
think they are just for show. That's my
Hmm.
humble opinion.
It's a flex.
it's for sure a flex. Maybe back in the day when you didn't have advanced, because okay, so here's what I'm thinking. Is a dovetail any stronger than just some well laid out finger joints?
So actually, I know Jason Bourbonmoth
Mhm.
did a test where he made like miters, splines, finger joints, dovetails, all this kind of stuff. And if memory serves me well, the miter joint was actually stronger than the dovetail.
The miter joint just being like straight up 245 is glued together?
Yeah, and hold on,
Okay.
I gotta. Let's see if I can find it. So
Yeah,
I'll
let's
need
fact
it.
check this.
Let's see.
Don't
So
fi-
anyway, keep talking. What are your thoughts about dovetails?
Okay, well, my thinking was that back in the day, if you didn't have a machine to precision cut finger joints for you, then yeah, maybe a dovetail is kind of utilitarian because obviously, as evidenced by every woodworker under the sun, except for the two of us, you can cut them by hand, right? Um,
Allegedly.
allegedly. I mean, I've still never seen anybody do it in person, but I see them in a lot of videos and pictures and stuff like that. So yeah, so I don't know. I mean, if what you're saying is true about Bourbon Moth's video, then it's like it's especially just a flex to show like how good you are with hand tools. Um, that being said, look, I'm not trying to shit on dovetails. There goes the explicit warning right there.
Uh-oh. All right, I'm marking it.
um, I'm not trying to S on on dovetails
Defecate.
because I do think they look really cool. I mean, I love a good dovetail with like. Have you ever seen it where somebody goes in and then they do like an inlay inside the dovetail and then
Hmm,
the
J-Cats does those.
exactly it looks beautiful and then there's all these other variations on it. I love the look of them. Don't get me wrong, but I just think do it with the knowledge that you're doing it just because it looks cool, not because it's
Yeah,
necessarily the best connection. What do you
agreed.
think?
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah.
So like, do they look neat? Yes. I personally would not want that on any of my furniture. I
Mm.
don't like the way it looks. I think they're really cool, but I truly I don't like them.
Oh, interesting. What's
I
your what?
think they're very functional. It's too much for me. I
Okay.
would rather the overall look of the piece be the star rather than these teeny tiny details that very few people are going to look and be like, "Oh, those are hand cut dovetails."
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, I think it depends certainly the context that you're using it in because it does create a busier look, right? So if you're trying to create something that's sleek and elegant, maybe that's not the best place for a dovetail. But, if you have something like a drawer that's otherwise going to look kind of plain and you want to include like a nice hidden detail, I can kind of appreciate that. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I my parents got their kitchen redone like a year or two ago, and now that I'm starting to kind of shift into thinking of ideas for like when I have a house of like redoing the whole house and stuff, I'm kind of taking a look at how all the cabinetry is made and like how it's secured to the wall and stuff. And I was looking at their drawers, and I noticed, like, they're done by a machine.
Yeah.
The drawers were all dovetailed together.
Mm.
And so I asked my parents, I go, "Did you guys know, or did you order these drawers dovetailed?" And they both went, "I have no idea what you're talking about."
Huh.
So so that is what I would consider just your common layperson.
Yeah.
If you're going out of
Right.
your
I
way
see what you're
to
saying.
do dovetails in something, the vast majority of people, unless they're woodworkers themselves, they don't care and they don't even know or notice it.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it's just kind of like it's kind of I'm trying to think. It's signaling to like the in crowd, right?
Sure.
It's like a little stamp that you can put onto your project that's like, "Hey, other woodworkers, I'm a woodworker too." And it's like an inside joke that we have between us almost.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. Like most normies are not going to care about
No.
dovetails.
So I found Jason Bourbon Moth's video
Hmm.
online because I had watched it because it was interesting. And I'm gonna go for in order of weakest to strongest.
Okay.
Okay. And the way he basically did it is for everybody listening, if you take the letter V as in Viagra and rotate it 90, right? So now you have the top or both sides of the V pointed upwards, and then now you're loading that vertically. So you're basically trying to snap the V in half, kind of like you snap like a wishbone, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, I think I
Uh,
understand what you're saying.
Um, and then he basically just loaded up with weight. So the
Okay.
weakest joint, we'll call it number one, was your just standard butt joint, right? So you just butt two pieces of wood together, glue them. That broke at 60 pounds.
And that's probably
Um,
sorry, just to clarify, that's end grain attaching to side grain, right?
yes,
Okay. Gotcha.
yes, okay. And number two would be the exact same joint, but there was a lamello connector in there.
Oh, what's a lamello connector? I'm not familiar.
Oh, you never seen lamello?
No, I don't think so. I mean,
So
maybe I have.
a
I just don't know the
lamello,
name.
so a lamello is basically like the way a biscuit joiner works.
Okay.
However, instead of the wood biscuits, they're plastic. So they're
Oh, yes. Okay.
so there are a bunch of different versions. Like some of them you can snap in, some of them you use like an Allen key and it like forces the two pieces together. It's crazy, crazy expensive. I think the machine's like $2,000.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm looking. Actually, I don't think I have ever seen one of these before. Really funky looking.
Yeah, but they're
Huh.
sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
they're
Definitely.
made pretty much exclusively for cabinetry
Okay.
because you can do a lot of really interesting stuff, but then um, make it like disassemble as well. But
Yes.
then
Okay.
and then come together and be really strong.
I mean,
So, but
evidently not that strong
yeah, butt
though.
joint 60 pounds, lamello butt joint 70 pounds.
Okay.
This is going to shock you. The domino butt joint 100 pounds.
Hmm. Yeah, I believe that.
And then 4A is pocket holes with the hole basically on the inside so that the screw is
Mm.
pointing towards the outside, which is the wrong quote
Yeah. Okay.
unquote way to do it.
Yeah.
That's 110 pounds.
Okay.
Tying with that would be through dowel pins. So
Mm.
basically a butt joint that you throw in some dowels in.
Hmm.
Um, and 4C is the dovetail at 110 pounds.
Okay.
Interestingly, number five is the pocket hole in the outside, which is the quote unquote right way to do it. And that's 170 pounds.
Okay.
So you
Okay.
just had a 60-pound jump between
Yeah.
dovetails and pocket holes.
Yeah, that's like a 50% increase right there. So next time somebody gives you a hard time for using pocket holes, you tell them
Hmm.
it's vastly superior to dovetails and send them a link to the video.
They won't watch it.
No, no, they won't.
All right. So number five was pocket holes the right way, 170 pounds. Number six is miter joint at 200, a standard miter joint
So
at
nothing in there,
210 pounds.
nothing in there but glue.
Correct.
Wow, crazy! I wouldn't have thought that much.
Box joint is only 220 pounds.
Okay.
It's only 10 pounds more.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah. True.
strongest is a miter joint with splines run through it at
Okay.
270 pounds.
Really? Wow.
Hmm.
Did how big was the box joint? Did he do like a little one, like
I believe
fingers?
there were 3/4 by 3/4
Okay, so
fingers.
pretty big. Interesting. Very
And the pieces
interesting.
of wood were about 4 inches wide and about 3/4 of an inch thick.
Okay.
But yeah, dude, isn't that wild?
That is yeah, that is not what I would have expected there.
But
Appreciate him
so,
for setting that up and doing that work though.
oh, I'm sure, dude. I'm sure he got raked over the coals for like the scientific method of, oh, you didn't do this right. And
Dude, yeah, that is the downside of doing those like scientific videos. It's like everybody is just looking to pull apart like every little bit of your, your setup in order to like confirm their hypothesis or their original belief.
but I'm sure it probably helps engagement.
Oh, yeah, yeah, definitely. That's a great point.
So like when I did that miter saw review and I said it was just like awful with horrible side to side play, I got so many people being like, oh, you just don't know how to use a miter saw. It's like, yeah, dude, I know how to use a miter saw. if my pinky barely pressing it where it
Yeah.
doesn't even change color is deflecting it like an eighth inch side to side,
Yeah.
the miter saw sucks. It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
about me.
Yeah, that's such a weird comment, but you know what? People make these stupid comments without even watching the video, so it is what it is. The
That's
amount of
one of my favorite my favorite thing now is I have that, like, if you watch the video, like, comment this word, and when
yes.
people troll you, I'll just reply back with, "Did you watch the video?" And they're like, "Yeah, I did." I'm like, "Are you sure?" And you just keep doing that, and it gets people so fired up. It's like, if you watch the video,
Mhm. Well, the
you
amount of
would know.
times I'll get a comment where they'll be like, "Oh, you should have done X, Y, and Z," and it's like, yeah, like 30 seconds later in the video, I
I
explain
did.
why I didn't do it, or I did do it. So,
I just put out the video about, like, the router table dust collection thing, and
I watched it.
people are like, "You should have put angled pieces in the corners." And I was like,
Uh,
"Yeah, I did."
yeah.
I just replied back, did you watch the video?"
But the thing that's so crazy about that is like, yeah, I get you kind of did that towards the end of the video, but you also said like earlier in the video, like I might add some angled pieces to this in order to make the dust collection work better. And
Yeah, I set myself up for the possibility of needing to do it.
yeah,
Did I think I was going to have to? It was about 90% sure I was gonna do it,
yeah,
and truly, it made the video a little bit longer, but people kinda like to test of, like, "So what if I didn't put those
yeah,
pieces in?"
for sure, for
And you
sure.
saw the dust collection was awful.
Yeah. Did you see my comments about how you might have just been okay if you spaced the door off of the box like an eighth of an inch the whole way around?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
I,
that was an interesting thought too, and I got some other ones that were like, instead of having the router in the dead center of the box, what if you had the
oh.
router basically offset to each side?
Hmm.
I was like, "That's a great idea because
Yeah.
it could have, like, made a little bit
Yeah,
more
definitely.
turbulence in
Yeah,
there."
yeah,
I was like
yeah.
genuinely, sometimes people give some really good constructive criticism.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between like the rude comments where like, why didn't you put the things in the corner? And then the people who are like, what about if you had like altered your design and made it a diamond
Yeah.
instead of a square or something like that? It's like, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. So
Same with, like, the dust port. People are like, "Well, what if you put the offset the dust port?"
yeah, yeah.
I was like, "That could work too."
Or dustport down below.
Yeah, that was the one of the most common suggestions that I had gotten, but the setup that I have now is I have that little, like,
Oh,
table saw cabinet right underneath,
yeah,
so I didn't have any room for it.
yeah, yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense.
But I honestly don't know if that would help because
Yeah,
if it's pulling straight down, you might not be able to get, like, the corners at all.
that's true. You might end up with I mean, I guess if you really wanted to, you could do like a downward, like a cone
Mhm,
that
mhm.
ended in it, but that would be really hard to make. You'd almost need to like cut it on a CNC or something.
Yeah. I mean, truly, the answer to that question is, if I really cared, could I spend months and months and months designing the perfect router table box?
Yeah.
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 But would anybody watch 12 videos about router dust collection? No.
I
No
mean,
one's watching
there
that.
might be one enthusiast out there who would be really down for your journey to create the ultimate router box.
I wouldn't even want to edit that video.
That's true. That's true. That's a yeah, that's people all the time they're like, "Could you do a video about like X, Y, and Z?"
Oh, I get that all the time, yeah.
And it's like, I just don't want to. It's like
But I
doesn't sound fun.
I'll get these videos of like, could you, or not videos, questions of like, could you do a video about how you set up your pocket hole jig?
Right.
It's just like, I understand the sentiment of the question. It's just like, I'm having some small issues with it. Could you walk me through your whole process? Dude, no one
Yeah.
will watch that video.
That's a good point. Like as a creator, you really have to balance what you want to make and then also what people want to watch. And just because one
Yeah,
person wants to watch it doesn't mean that it's worthy of creating a whole video. Like are you going to really sit down and create work for a week or so to create a video that only, a very very small handful of people are actually going to get use out of, right?
for
So
sure.
people a lot of my friends will come to me with Like my one friend, he keeps asking me to make a video about how to make a lazy Susan. And I'm like, dude, there's videos out there about how to make lazy Susans, and it is not interesting to me. And I don't think I
It's
would.
all hardware.
Exactly, it's all hardware. But I mean, I think the reason he's asking is because he wants a lazy Susan for his house or for his workshop, and he just wants
Mhm.
me to make it. Um,
Yeah.
but I keep having to explain to him like nobody is going to watch that video. And it's like, well,
No.
you can make it, and then you can make a whole video about it, and people love it. I'm like, no, they won't. Trust me, they will not.
Dude, I love, and when I say love, I hate it. When people they're trying to love you well, and that's very well-meaning advice. But people that don't have or don't do what we do have no sense when it comes to like giving business advice.
Yeah, yeah,
Like I made my buddy's brother when he got married, made him a set of cornhole boards because he loves cornhole and he always is like, "Hey, you can make me cornhole boards, make me cornhole boards." And I was like, "For your wedding, man, I'm happy to make you a set of cornhole
Mhm.
boards." And then everyone in his family goes, "Eric, you should really like make and sell these cornhole boards."
Yeah.
They're like, "You could probably get like $100 for a set."
Like if I got $100 for a set, I would be out on the streets so fast.
Right? And that's one of those things. It's like I know that these people mean well,
Yeah,
and they're genuinely trying to give in what in their head is like great advice.
yeah,
And I'm not just gonna be like, no, F you. That's a terrible. Here's the reason one, two, three, four, five, like a whole dissertation about why that's a terrible idea. I'm
yeah,
like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. I should probably think more about that and consider it. That's
yeah,
the easiest way.
yeah. Let me write that down, and then yeah, then you move on from the
I'm never gonna
conversation.
do that.
Yeah.
What's like the worst idea or business advice you've gotten from somebody that's well-meaning?
I had this one client, and he wanted me to. He saw the speakers that I made. He was like, "Oh, those
Uh-huh.
are really cool. Like, you could probably sell those for a
Oh, yeah.
decent amount of money." It was like literally the exact same conversation. He was like, you could probably sell those for like $500 a pair, and I was like, hmm. Like it took me a couple days to make them. It's $200 of parts in them. It's
That's what I was
like
gonna say.
I was like, I did the math real quick in my head. He was like, well, like maybe we sell for 600. It's like it still doesn't work at $600. Like
No.
you have to have like a good thick margin in order to support a business on it. So
Yeah.
yeah. I'm trying to think if I've gotten any other. That's the one that jumps to my mind. Only because he was so insistent about it. He kept trying to
Yeah.
convince me that it was a good idea, and I kept trying to explain to him that it wasn't.
I get people that always want they're like whatever they see on Pinterest, like,
Yeah, yeah.
"Oh, you should make those, like, wooden signs that say welcome
Mhm.
outside of people's doors and stuff." I'm like, "No.
Why? Why?
That's a volume game."
Yeah.
That is there if you sell a product like that, it is 100% not about the quality, it is about the price,
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
and I'm not playing that game.
Yeah. That's the thing. You have to almost like if you're like do what we do and you're like a small one-man band working in your shop, you have to find something that nobody else really makes, or at least very few people make, that
Yeah.
has a crazy good margin. If you
Yeah.
think you're going to go into it and you're going to like, sell something that somebody could also get at IKEA and compete on price, it's just not realistic. You're competing against probably like slave labor in the Philippines, right? Like yeah, it's not viable.
I remember when I first this was like a week after I told Miranda that I wanted to start a woodworking business, and I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh my god, now I have to do it because I verbalized it."
Yeah,
Right,
I
and
said
I've
it out
done
loud.
nothing,
Yeah.
right? I remember I was talking to my dad, and he goes, "Well, what's gonna be like your, your differentiation point?" And I said,
Mhm.
"I wanna make, like, custom furniture at an affordable price."
Mhm. Yeah.
Thinking about that now, that is
Oh
laughable.
yeah. Yeah.
That's a horrible idea.
You know what? Like I think IKEA really ruined a lot of people's expectations of what furniture costs.
Yeah.
They drove, I mean, it's amazing what they've done, and all the respect in the world to, the talented people and Was it Swedish?
I think so.
Okay. Well,
Yellow and blue.
yeah.
Sweden. Yeah.
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 So hats off to the talented people in Sweden. They drove the price point down so low that anybody could afford to buy a dining room table on what is essentially a whim. But
So how much is a dining? I'm sorry. I'm looking up
no,
dining room
yeah, no,
table at
please do,
IKEA.
please do. Because I think I don't know what's an IKEA dining room table, $500, something like
I'm gonna
that.
say 500.
Yeah, you couldn't even the wood for your dining room table costs more than $500, right? And I mean, granted, it's not the same wood. Oh, Eric's eyes are bulging.
What the fuck?
Uh oh.
Okay. A table and 4 chairs.
Oh no.
$139.
See, how could you ever hope to compete against that? Now, again, like it's gonna be crap quality, but people don't know
Awful.
that when they're shopping. They
All
think
right, low to high.
a dining table.
The most expensive dining room table that I can find at IKEA is the Ekladalen Bernhard Lee.
You know
Um,
what? That's a good idea for a video. Nobody steal this, by the way. Reviewing like the most expensive furniture at IKEA as like a woodworker.
that's good. So this is it appears, oh God, it appears that it's roughly 94 inches long.
Hmm.
Dude, that seems real. That's like 8 feet.
Yeah, that's big.
So it's like an 8 foot long table, and it comes with 6 chairs, and it's
Okay.
$1,400.
Dude, could you? I couldn't. I don't even know if I could make one chair for $1,400.
No.
Like
Oh God,
if
no.
like assuming I was paying myself like who knows like $25 an hour. I honestly think I might run over that making the first one. You know, the other five might be a little bit cheaper, but still, jeez.
But sir, there are some reasonable looking tables where you look at that and go, eh, I might put that in my house.
Eh,
They're like 120 to
Eric, now you got me curious. I got to go to the IKEA
400
website. I got to
bucks.
look this up.
Like I can't play that game.
Yeah.
And even if okay, so if you take IKEA out of the equation and you want to talk about just a big furniture chain. So like
Yeah.
one of the biggest ones here would be like uh Value City Furniture or like something like that. I know you probably don't have that up there,
No,
but
we
that's
don't, but
where you would go and you would say, so Value City Furniture. I've got to imagine a dining room table there is going to be 800 to 1,000 ish.
yeah,
So that
okay.
would be like you could go and, buy a dining room table and just, not think too much about it. Get something that's kind of stylish that you like,
Mhm.
but it's not like a restoration hardware, something where you're like you're going in to spend a boatload of money.
Yeah.
Dude, I can't even compete with like a Value City Furniture.
I would have a hard time competing with the restoration hardware, I think.
Yeah.
So it's
So
yeah,
like big
that's
8 foot tables are like $1,000, 600 to $1,000 at Value City. Can't do it.
that's why like if you're starting out in really any business, unless you have some crazy technology, like some technological advantage that nobody else is clued into yet, you're not going to be able to compete on cost. So you need to find
No.
another way to differentiate yourself.
So even okay, those are marble, that doesn't count.
Mm,
Restoration hardware, a wood table, uh $4,800. I'm still not touching that.
yep.
$3,800, $4,800, 4,000. I'm not building you a dining room table for $3,800.
It would be real tough. Is that including chairs too?
No,
That's just table.
just table.
Yeah. It's again, yeah. It's just it's a losing game, right? It's you you gotta have like some crazy design that people are willing to spend a fortune for, or some trick feature, or whatever it is. Or you do what you and I do, and is you don't actually sell the furniture; you just make YouTube videos about it,
Yeah, I mean,
or sell
that's
the
the thing.
plans.
Yeah, sell plans. Like I've sold stuff, but truly, I mean, I don't really market the fact that I will build stuff for people, and you really truly have to find the right client to be able to make a reasonable living on your stuff,
Mhm, mhm. And,
which is
that exists. Like, you can find those clients who
oh,
are
for sure.
willing to pay, top dollar for custom pieces and stuff like that. But again, it's not a volume game. Like, you
No.
you're not gonna be if that's the route you want to go, you're not gonna be cranking out 20 of the same table at a time and selling them all.
100% custom.
Yeah, you're not going to be selling them on your Etsy store or whatever. You're going to be, hooked up with a designer who's going to be bringing you high-end clients, and you're going to be
Yes.
working with them for weeks to tweak things just exactly the way they want, et cetera, et cetera. So,
And I mean, if you're selling a dining room table for 12 or $15,000, I don't think that's crazy for
no,
like
not at
a
all.
fully custom table.
Hmm.
You're working for that. It's not just here's a design, boom, slap, you build it. Like you're going to be meeting with this client. You're going to be doing revisions. You're going to be doing finish samples and color samples.
Hmm.
Like you're going to be working your ass off for that
Hmm.
table,
Hmm.
which is why it demands such a high price.
Yep. Yep. And there are not many people who can do that at that level. So, again, that's how you're kind of differentiating yourself from everybody
Yeah.
else. Yeah.
I
Oh.
mean, getting with a like with an interior designer or something like that would be a fantastic way
Hmm.
to if you want to get into the custom furniture game.
Yeah.
But you also like you're going to need some sort of portfolio to show them so that
Yeah.
they trust that you actually know what you're
Yeah.
doing, right?
Yeah. I tell that to people a lot in the construction world. A lot of people have asked me like, "Hey, how would you go about like starting like a home renovation business?" Try and go upstream of the customers, or try and find somebody who the customers are already going to. So like get hooked up with a designer, or if you want to get into contracting, get hooked up with some architects.
Yeah.
Like try and because the customers are coming to them and designing it, and then that's where most of my business comes from. The construction world is because I have relationships with a lot of architects that I've worked with over the years, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, like Zach, he was great. Like we did this house with him, and so yeah, yeah, they'd be great for your
Yeah.
project." So that's where it all comes from, and developing those relationships and fostering those relationships. So I think the same thing could easily apply in the furniture world or whatever it
Oh,
is you want to build.
100%.
Try and find
I think
somebody.
that's fantastic advice.
Yeah, try and find somebody who's like one step upstream of you and get hooked up with them, and they can drive clients to you.
Yeah. And I've heard another good tip that I have not done, but I've heard tons of success stories from other people is if you're someone that just you love making smaller items, coasters, cutting boards, those welcome signs or whatever, hook up with a real estate agent or a real
Oh
estate
yeah,
firm in your area
yeah.
and then basically pitch them because most real estate agents give their home buyer a very small gift when
Hmm.
they move, like a housewarming type gift. So if you are like, hey, Tom, the real estate agent guy, I want to basically be like your source for
Yep,
cutting boards that you're going to give
yep,
all of your prospective clients when they close on a home. So Tom might be like, sweet, yeah, that's great. Can you make me 150 of them?
yep.
That's gonna be a big check. And
Hmm.
if you're batching out 150 cutting boards, you can probably do it way easier
Yep,
than this one-off where you sell one on Etsy and then you
yep,
sell another one.
yep. I
I'd try
actually
that.
I actually know a guy who's I think the majority he's a real estate agent, but he's also a woodworker. And I think a lot of his business, he sells cutting boards. A lot of it comes from
Mm,
him selling them to his real estate colleagues to give as gifts when they close on
really?
houses and condos and stuff like that. Yeah.
But think of it like from the real estate agent perspective. You're having somebody basically come to you, pitching you this product. A cutting board is crazy easy
Yeah.
to just stack in boxes.
Yeah.
It's not like a lamp or
Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that that like you can't store. Like you could easily take 100 cutting boards and leave them in your trunk,
Hmm. And
right?
go ahead, get yourself a CNC. Boom, all of a sudden you got a $50 upcharge on every board to like
Mhm.
personalize it for their clients or whatever.
The family name, or then you
The
slip a
address.
little oh
Yeah.
baby
Yeah.
address, or you slip a little like business card in there with it too.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
now these people just got this new home.
Yep.
They got this wicked cutting board. What are they going to need for that home? They're going to need furniture. They're going to need built-in shelves. They're going to need
Very true.
cabinetry,
Very true.
all kinds of stuff. And now who are they going to go to? Because they just moved to a new area. Well, they love the cutting board. They got your contact for woodworking.
Yep. Yep. That's
It's
a good
free.
idea. All right. Well, we just sorted out how you can get started in woodworking in 2022. There's your
And
business model, everybody.
that was our thought on Dovetails.
Yeah.
But we should summarize the dovetail thing. Give me your 1 minute, 30-second, 1 minute summary on your thoughts about dovetails.
My thoughts on Dovetails is they're definitely just a flex, but
Mhm.
it's a flex that I appreciate. There's nothing wrong with a good flex, Like I enjoy seeing a nice Lamborghini drive down the street.
But I'm not going to buy one
No, we'll see how big the podcast gets.
one day. I got that Honda Civic money, man.
Oh yeah. Oh dude, you know what? I gotta show you something, and I'll try and show it for everybody at home. My friend sent me this like boutique SUV thing today. Oh, where did he send it to me?
I don't know.
He sent it to me.
While you're looking that up, I do want to apologize to everybody listening. I don't know if it's come through, but I was chewing on some lightly salted cocktail peanuts throughout the podcast. So if you hear obnoxious chewing, I'm sorry. I was hungry.
Can you
I haven't eaten dinner yet.
if I show you that?
Oh, what do you got,
come
me?
on, focus. I got it.
Oh God. So
There we go.
so I want to describe it. It's called the Hercules 6x6.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like a Rivian.
hmm
Um, and it's got 8 tires in the back. 10 total tires? Is that right?
I'm trying. I
2,
don't
4,
know. It
6,
might
8,
just be
10?
6 because it's called 6x6, right?
Maybe.
I don't know if it's a
So,
dually in the
wait,
rear.
those just massive tires?
I think there's just massive tires. Yeah.
So for everybody at home, Google Hercules 6x6.
Yeah.
It basically looks like one of those giant like 3,500 trucks that
Yeah.
have what they call like the dualies that have the 2 wheels in the back. But
Mhm.
think of like 2 sets of dually wheels.
Yeah. Yeah.
Things look stupid. How much is that?
I believe it was 175. Let's see.
Good God.
195. I'm sorry. How could I underprice
Canadian,
it like
I assume.
that? I don't think so, buddy. So
Who makes it?
I think it's like a boutique car maker. I think they're all custom handmade, which means they probably break the second you drive them anywhere.
It's by Resvani.
Resvani. Oh, and then I clicked on it, and then it said all of a sudden it went up from 195 to 265.
Down 265, yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, it looks cool.
if the podcast gets big enough, that's what I'll be driving around in.
Dude, it has ballistic armor capable of stopping high caliber weapons and assault rifles.
Yeah. Yeah. Think of it.
Who's buying this?
We could put a little like trailer behind it, and then we could do the podcast in the trailer. I have no idea.
Military survival kit.
You know what? I assume that this is like being sold exclusively to people in Dubai or something like that.
Or doomsday preppers.
Maybe doomsday preppers. Although I don't know how many doomsday preppers there are that can afford a $265,000 truck.
What in the world?
It's so
All right,
wild
you
looking.
guys have got to look. I want to watch the video, but I can't do it on the podcast. That
The-
wouldn't make very good podcast.
The
material.
interior of it actually looks pretty sweet. I'm scrolling through all the photos right now.
Their little sales pitch: military meets luxury, designed for civilians, the toughest and most powerful road-going truck on earth. It has a 1,000 horsepower V8 motor.
That's right. I mean, that honestly, that sounds a little light. I'd like to get that supercharged up to at least 1,200.
Yeah. It has underside explosive protection, built-in smoke screens.
Oh, I just saw the smoke screen thing. Yeah.
It has blinding lights.
Electromagnetic pulse protection. I mean, that's a very real concern for me. You would not believe how often I get EMP'd on my way to work.
Zach, I'm gonna say it. I think you need to cancel that Ford Lightning.
I know.
And get yourself one of those Resvanis.
Well, here's what I'm thinking with the F-150 Lightning. They're still in such short supply. I'm thinking I get it, I flip it, and then I use that as a down payment on this.
Now you're talking.
Yeah.
Now you're talking.
Have you
That's a true businessman.
Yeah, exactly. Have you seen the Hummer electric truck?
I actually think I just saw one the other day.
Like in person?
Yeah. Let
Oh,
me see.
I think there are some out there driving around in the real world.
Hummer electric truck. Yes, I did see it.
Yeah,
I saw it
yeah.
the other day in, New Albany, which is a nicer part of town.
I was
Same
thinking
area I saw the Rivian.
right, right. I was thinking that would be fun. If I get the Lightning and that's too boring for me, I'll be like, "Oh, I'll just trade it in on an electric Hummer." So not
Dude, I
actually that
bet you
much
could
more.
make some decent coin selling that
Yeah, yeah.
F-150.
They actually at one point they said that they might ask me to sign a little thing that says I'm not going to flip it. But I don't know how much that would actually hold up in court.
Yeah, how legal is that?
I don't know. You know what? I
'Cau
once heard of, John Cena, the wrestler.
Yeah.
He bought a Ford GT, like their ultra low slung
Oh, dude, I
race car.
love that car. It's like
Yeah.
2004 was the last time they made it, I think.
No, they actually made some recently. So they made one in like 2020, I think. Look it up.
Oh,
It's
really?
Yeah, it's really cool looking. And very limited run, very
Oh,
limited
just
production.
2020. They only
And
usually make a couple hundred of them or something. Oh,
yeah,
dude, that's sweet.
and John Cena got one, and apparently he signed this thing that said he wasn't going to flip it, and then he did flip it, and Ford sued him.
Huh.
So
Well, I mean, what if you were just like, "Yeah, I got it. I don't like it."
yeah, yeah, that's the thing. Oh, I got it. I lost my job. Like,
Sure.
yeah,
It's an asset of yours.
exactly. So I don't know how, and I never actually saw what the outcome was of them suing John Cena. So
Hmm.
yeah.
What was his, tagline?
Oh yeah, he did have one. I was not a wrestling guy.
Neither.
Have you
John
ever met
Cena
somebody
tagline
who still thinks that wrestling
is,
is
"You
real?
can't see me."
Oh, you can't see me. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Have you ever had one of these conversations with somebody and they're like, "No, wrestling's real." You're like, "Dude, come on."
So, what age of person are we talking about?
Into my 20s, I swear
Oh
I had this
god.
conversation with people. I get it, like an 8-year-old. Yeah, fine, go ahead and think wrestling is real. Like I'm not, but I've had, like with people who are old enough to drink, who still thought that wrestling was real.
Yeah. That's just sad.
I think it's like wishful thinking almost. It's like they don't want to let go of that part of their childhood or something.
Yeah, that is sad.
Yeah.
So, well, this is a spoiler. If anyone out there is listening with young children, we're telling you right now to
Oh yeah.
pause, and don't finish this podcast. All right, I'll give you a couple seconds. I'm telling you, pause it. Okay. What age did you find out that Santa Claus wasn't real?
Okay, so this is where I have to share a little bit of my traumatic childhood.
Oh, let's hear it.
My
Wait,
parents.
should we save this for the after show?
Oh yeah, I think we should. We should. Are we up against our time limit right now?
We're
Oh
102, 103.
yeah. You know what? Let's. If you want to hear about how badly my parents mentally abused me, then you're gonna have to tune into the after show.
Are you gonna get a lawsuit against you and your parents?
No, no, they can't retroactively do anything. I'm pretty sure the statute of limitations is over.
7 years.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, keep this. I gotta write this down. Santa Claus story. Santa Claus. If you want to hear the Santa Claus story, and we got a patron question that we also have to answer,
Ooh,
you can meet
excited.
us over at the after show. Patreon.com/off the cut podcast, or just click the little link in the show notes.
Hmm.
I think that works. Should be active.
Yeah, ought to be. If not,
Yeah.
we gotta fire our web developer.
Yeah. I'm gonna get fired.
Yeah.
Well, you got anything for the people before we see them next week?
No, just thank you for watching. And again, I really think that this Santa Claus story is gonna be worth it. So consider becoming a
Hmm.
patron.
Yeah, or you'll get a lump of coal.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. We will catch you next week, or if you're not too cheap, we will catch you over on the after show wherever you listen to it, because it's available everywhere now. And once you subscribe,
Yeah. Yeah. All
and
right.
if you cancel the subscription, then you don't get any more.
Oh, can we take it away like that?
I don't know.
Well, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away.
Well, I think we only had one person that canceled Patreon, but whatever. All right, everybody, we will see you next week. Take it easy.
See you, everybody.
Don't climb down any chimneys. It's illegal. All right, and
I hope you left
we'll
that in
stop the
your recording
recording.
because I stopped recording.
Oh, I did.
Okay, good, good, good.
All right, file export, audio only. 21, man, we're getting up
21, I know. Anything from the YouTube community?